You are my sunshine, my only sunshine. You make me happy when skies are gray. You'll never know, dear, how much I love you. Please don't take my sunshine away. Please don't take my sunshine away.
Well, that is absolutely amazing. Good evening, Sumter School District boys and girls, and welcome to another evening of Reading with the Superintendent. And this evening, we were very fortunate to hear the talents of our very own board trustee, Dr. Hilton. Good evening, Dr. Hilton. How are you?
Hi. How you doing today?
I'm just dandy. Let me just say thank you for that introduction.
Well, that was dedicated to all the students, parents, and teachers in the Sumter School District, because they are our sunshine, and they're the reason that we do what we do. It's for the kids and the parents and the teachers, and it's a difficult time, and we just want to say thanks for all they're doing.
Absolutely. Well, actually, it was a pleasure to hear you sing and play, and you're absolutely fabulous. So thank you for that.
Well, you're welcome. Thank you for inviting me to come and read with you this evening.
Thank you for being here with us yet again. So this evening, Dr. Hilton, we're going to share with them a book that actually, I'm glad this book was selected because I used to read this book when I was in the first grade. It was one of my favorite books, and it's called Teach Us, Amelia Bedelia.
Yes, Amelia Bedelia is a real character. You know, she's a sort of a sweet person who works as a housekeeper and a cook. But in this story, she does something different. It's kind of like, you know, parents are being asked to do something different than they normally do.
Yes, they are.
And so I hope the parents will find some humor in how Amelia Bedelia deals with doing something that she's not used to doing, which is teaching school, like parents are having to do right now.
Absolutely. And so we are so thankful for our parents and partnering with us and making sure that they are supported as well through these trying times and all these unique challenges that we are facing. So I'm excited to read Teach Us, Amelia Bedelia by Peggy Parrish. So are you ready, Dr. Hilton?
Yes, ma'am.
So let me make sure I have our audience's attention. So boys and girls and all of our viewers, 1, 2, 3, all eyes on me.
1, 2, all eyes on you.
Let's begin to read Teach Us, Amelia Bedelia. The telephone was ringing. I'm coming, said Amelia Bedelia. She answered the telephone. Mrs. Rogers, she said, where are you?
Mrs. Rogers says, I'm at the airport in Pinewood. You didn't tell me you were going away, said Amelia Bedelia. I'm not going away, said Miss Rogers. I'm meeting the new teacher. Her plane is late. Well, that's too bad, said Amelia Bedelia. The telephone at the school is out of order, Miss Rogers went on. Please call Mr. Carter's office, the principal at the school, and tell him what I said. I'll go right now, said Amelia Bedelia.
Amelia Bedelia got her things. She walked to school. Where is Mr. Carter's office? She asked. That first door, said a child. Amelia Bedelia walked in. Mrs. Rogers tried to call you, she said, but your telephone is out of order. I know, said Mr. Carter, but thank goodness you're here. The children are going wild. Miss Lane left a list for today. I'll take you to the room. He handed Amelia Bedelia the list.
Follow me, he said. They went down the hall. Mr. Carter opened the door. Children were all over the place. All right, said Mr. Carter, quiet. This is your new teacher. Me? Teach? Said Amelia Bedelia, but Mr. Carter was gone.
Wow, they're really running rampant. She looked at the children. They looked at her. I'm Amelia Bedelia, she said. The children giggled. You're nice, said Amelia Bedelia. I do like happy children, but we have a lot to do.
She held up the list. We must do just what this says, she said. Now, what's first? Amelia Bedelia read, call the roll. She looked puzzled. Call the roll? What roll? She said. Does anybody have a roll? I have, said Peter. Who did it? Said Amelia Bedelia. Peter opened his lunchbox. Here it is, he said.
And he did have a roll. He had ROLL as a dinner roll. Now I have to call it, said Amelia Bedelia. Roll. Hey, roll. All right, that takes care of that. The children roared. Amelia Bedelia read her list. Land sakes, she said, listen to this. Sing a song. I never was much of a hand at singing.
But it says sing a song, so I'll sing, and she did. More, more, shouted the children. No, said Amelia Bedelia. The list said sing a song, and I did just that. Oh, said the children. Now it's reading time, said Amelia Bedelia. I know about that. I read my cookbook. It tells me just what to do. She held up a book. She said, is this the right one? Yes, said Amanda.
Amelia Bedelia opened the book. I declare, she said, this is a good one. Are you ready? Yes, said the children. All right, said Amelia Bedelia. It says, run, run, run. The children just sat. Amelia Bedelia clapped her hands. Run, she said. Run, run, run. Amelia Bedelia ran.
The children ran after her. Around the room, through the halls, around the block, they ran. Finally, they ran back into the room.
Amelia Bedelia is a character. Now I know why I like this book so much. Amelia Bedelia plopped on her chair. That takes care of run, 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 she said. Your book plum tired me out. Let's see what's next. I hope we don't have to run to do it. She looked at the list. She said, it's science time. Each of you plant a bulb. Do you know about that? Yes, said Tim. We brought our pots. Where are the bulbs? Said Amelia Bedelia. On the top closet, said Rebecca. Miss Lane said so. Amelia Bedelia looked and looked. Nothing here but some dried up onions, she said.
Wait a minute. You all go outside, Amelia Bedelia said. You put some soil in your pots. I'll go buy some bulbs. Amelia Bedelia went to the store. She hurried back. The children were waiting. Here's a bulb for you and you, said Amelia Bedelia. She gave everybody a bulb. The children looked surprised. Then they started giggling.
Wonder why they're giggling. But they planted those bulbs. They put the pots on the windowsill. Those do look right pretty, said Amelia Bedelia. And I learned something new. I didn't know you could plant bulbs. Suddenly, a bell rang. What's that for? Said Amelia Bedelia. Free time, yelled the children. Good, said Amelia Bedelia. The children ran outside. Amelia Bedelia sat down to rest. I think when I was a teacher, I used to sit down and rest like that too.
Teaching is hard work.
It is hard work.
Then free time ended. Back came the children. It's quiet time now, said Amelia Bedelia. you're supposed to read stories. Each child chose a book. All was quiet. Why aren't you reading? Said Amelia Bedelia. We are, said Ed. I don't hear you, said Amelia Bedelia. The children looked at Amelia Bedelia. They looked at each other, and Amelia Bedelia heard them all right. My, I'll be glad when quiet time is over, she said. My ears hurt. The kids all started reading out loud and yelling instead of reading silently. Oh, Amelia Bedelia.
Yeah. Well, things have changed over the years. So at one point it was okay for kids to read out loud like that, but sometimes they need to read silently too. Jeff said, uh-oh, art comes next. That's fun. Amelia Bedelia looked at her list. You're right, she said. You must paint pictures now. The children got sheets of art paper. What are you doing, Amelia Bedelia? What are you doing? Said Amelia Bedelia. We're going to paint pictures, said Bud. But how can you? Said Amelia Bedelia. There's no picture there to paint. We'll make pictures, said Mary. Oh no, said Amelia Bedelia. This says to paint pictures. You can't paint a picture without a picture to paint.
Better find one for yourselves. The children ran around the room. Not a picture was left on the wall. But all the children were painting. Lord, they took the pictures off the wall and started painting the pictures. Soon the pictures were back on the wall. They sure look different, said Steve. Yes, said Amelia Bedelia. Mr. Carter will be surprised. The children shook their heads. He sure will, said Janet.
He sure will. Those pictures will never be the same. What's next? Said Jamie. Our play, said Rebecca. We have to practice our play. Practice play? Said Amelia Bedelia. You mean children have to practice play? School sure has changed since I went. All right, out you go. But Amelia Bedelia said the children, no buts, said Amelia Bedelia. Let's go. Start playing.
They were happy about that. Practice that jumping rope some more, said Amelia Bedelia. I can do better than that. Show us, said Janet, and Amelia Bedelia did. I can run faster than that, said Amelia Bedelia. Show us, said Steve. So Amelia Bedelia did. That's fine, she said. You've practiced long enough. Let's go inside.
I'm afraid to ask. Let me see what's next, said Amelia Bedelia. Here are some problems for you. Yuck, said the children. Jenny, get your apples, said Amelia Bedelia. What apples? Said Jenny. Amelia Bedelia looked puzzled. She said, but it says Jenny has 4 apples. Paul takes away 2. Oops, said Amelia Bedelia. I don't think I was supposed to tell that part. She read the other problems. These all have apples in them, she said. Does anybody have apples? The children shook their heads.
This is a different kind of math. This is the new math. She's doing new math. Then Amelia Bedelia had an idea. Let's go to my house, she said. We have lots of apples. Yes, shouted the children. We better leave a note, said Amelia Bedelia. She went to the blackboard and wrote, we are at the Rogers house. So that's where Amelia Bedelia worked as the cook and the housekeeper. So off they went to the Rogers backyard. Amelia Bedelia got the apples. She called some children. There's a problem for each of you, she said. You all have apples. Somebody is going to try to take some apples. Take some away. Are you going to let them? No, shouted the children.
Amelia Bedelia went to the other children. You are supposed to take away some of their apples, she said. She told each child whom to take from. Can you do that? She said. Sure, said the children. All right, everybody, said Amelia Bedelia. Go. Children started after each other. They ran all over the yard.
Amelia Bedelia turned and went into the kitchen. She put some of this and a lot of that into a big pot. She put the pot on the stove. There, she said, I'll surprise them. Amelia Bedelia started out. Just then, Mr. Rogers started in. What is all of this? Said Mr. Rogers. What are these children doing? What are those children doing? They're doing math, said Amelia Bedelia. Math, said Mr. Rogers. Come see, said Amelia Bedelia.
They went out. That's not fair, Steve yelled Janet. You hid your apples. I can't take any. That's not fair, Judy, shouted Andy. You took away all my apples. What in tarnation are they doing, said Mr. Rogers. Amelia Bedelia read him the problems. That sounds like fun. I'm going to help them, he said. He joined the children. Now that does beat it all, said Amelia Bedelia. She went inside. Later she called, everybody come, all apples on the table.
I think Amelia Bedelia's got a surprise for him.
I think so too.
Yes. Apples came from everywhere. Amelia Bedelia put a stick in each one. Then she dipped them in the pot. Taffy apples, everybody shouted. We might call them candied apples. Right, said Amelia Bedelia. Take one and go home. School is out. The children grabbed apples. They crowded around Amelia Bedelia. Please, please, teach us again, each one said.
Amelia Bedelia said nothing. She looked at her kitchen and shook her head. Mr. Rogers walked in. Someone was with her. What happened? She said. Where are the children? Home, said Amelia Bedelia. Home, said Mrs. Rogers, but it's not time. It was for me, said Amelia Bedelia.
That's kind of how the parents are feeling at home right now. It's time for the kids to go back to school. This is Ms. Reed, said Ms. Rogers. She is the new teacher. She came to get the children. Then she'll have to find them, said Amelia Bedelia. I'm plumb tired out. But, said Ms. Reed. More taffy apples, called Mr. Rogers. Taffy apples, said Ms. Rogers. Come on, Miss Reed. Amelia Bedelia put the taffy apples on the table. They all sat down and ate.
You know, I like apples with sticky stuff on it, but I like candy apples.
Yes.
I'll let you teach any time, said Miss Reed, if you will make taffy apples. Be glad to, said Amelia Bedelia. I do love children. So, you know, Dr. Hilton, I had a great time reading you this.
Me too. I enjoyed it, and I thank you so much for inviting me.
Thank you for coming back. And
yeah.
so, you know, I can remember why I used to like reading this book as a first grader. I loved Amelia Bedelia.
Amelia Bedelia is kind of ditzy, but she's a really sweet person, you know. And
she is a sweet person.
Yeah, she's a sweet person. And but she was just trying to do something she didn't know how to do. Teach. She didn't know how to teach, but she did teach them a lot in her own way, I guess.
But I was going to say, you know what she did? She brought experiences to them that they had never seen before, and that's what teaching is all about. So during Teacher Appreciation Week, I just want to take the opportunity just to formally and publicly thank all of our teachers for being creative and innovative for what they do for our children, particularly during these unprecedented times. So Dr. Hilton, thank you so much again for joining us, and thank you to our audience for joining us. And Dr. Hilton, I'm going to ask a favor.
Sure.
Can you take us away with a song, please?
So how about we'll go out with what we came in. You are my sunshine, my only sunshine. You make me happy when skies are gray. You'll never know, dear, how much I love you. Please don't take my sunshine away. Please don't take my sunshine away. Bye-bye, everybody.
Thank you, Dr. Hilton. Bye-bye. Thank you, everyone. Tomorrow night.
Bye-bye.
Thank you for listening to my falsetto voice. Wah!